listening to Heroes Initiative.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Heroes Initiative Season 2, Episode 2. I am here with our two lovely guests for today. We have Miriam, who is going to tell you a little bit about her trip down to Chula, Georgia. And we have Zoe, who's going to tell you about her trip to Augusta. So stay tuned for more mission trips and exciting adventures that we are going to share with you guys. So how's it going?
Pretty good.
It's going great.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear it. Thank you guys so much for being on the podcast today. I'm really, really excited. So, Miriam, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your trip?
Yeah. So my trip was, we took a week in July. It was about mid-July, and we went down to Chula, Georgia, which is near Tifton, Georgia, if you happen to know where that is. It's South Georgia. And we helped lead a camp for kids at a church, and it was with kids from pre-K to 5th grade, so that was quite the range. There was about 263 kids in total, I believe, at the camp, so there was a lot of small children. My team, there was a team of me and about 7 other girls. It happened to all be girls. We helped lead the different activities with, we had different activity tasks, and there's also some Bible studies that we helped lead, and just anything else they needed help with. Like, we helped decorate before the camp started. And then just as the camp was going on, we just helped keep track of all the kids. And yeah, that's mainly what we did.
So I went on a short-term trip to Augusta, Georgia. It was for 2 weeks, and it was led by the campus minister of the Augusta BCM. So we really just kind of got super plugged into the community. We did a lot of painting. We did a lot of tasks that kind of helped churches, and I think there were about 3 different churches that we helped with, and then we also went to one church service for one of the local churches one of the Sundays, and then that next week we helped with VBS. So we'd be painting in the cafeteria in the morning, and then helping with VBS at night. And then we helped with kind of a few different youth events with just different churches and youth in the city as well. And so we did plan some fun things with that, like scavenger hunts and like ultimate frisbee night, and just spend some time kind of in fellowship with them. It was kind of a hodgepodge of a lot of different things that we did, but it was just really getting plugged in and serving the community in Augusta.
Miriam, I just wanted to ask you, because I know Zoe mentioned that she was really plugged into the Augusta community, and especially partnering with the Augusta BCM campus minister. Did you meet other people who were involved in the BCMs around Georgia, or was this a different kind of trip?
No, yeah. We were actually, the leader for the trip was the ABAC BCM campus minister, Miss Penny Chestnut. She's fantastic. And then the different team members on our Simi Now team were from all over Georgia.
Yeah. How was working with those different BCM people, just everyone from different college campuses? Did you meet people on those trips who were sort of like you, or were you able to just have a lot of different meetings and encounterings with people who you hadn't really experienced before?
Yeah. It was actually interesting because that was one thing I was pretty nervous about going into the trip, because I'm not the most outwardly social and outgoing person, so and I didn't know anyone on the trip beforehand, so I was kind of nervous going into it. But it was actually one of the surprising things for the trip is we actually bonded really well. Like the first night, even there was like no awkwardness. We just like kind of all clicked, even though we all came from very different backgrounds and different like family lives and different like spiritual walks, like just very different like paths in life that we've gone through. But we all managed, like, it was kind of just like surprised like how, I don't know, just unified we were like in Christ, and we just all bonded really well. So
yeah. So we had a team of about, I think, 7 or 8 people, and we all were super different. I definitely would say that I was it was more of a kind of a quiet group, and so I was definitely one of the more like louder people, and so learning how to like, I guess, the dynamics of the group took a little bit of time, but it almost felt like we knew each other like a couple, kind of like you were saying, a couple days into the trip, which was really cool, getting to bond and share like testimonies and all of that. Actually, there was one girl that went on Miriam's trip that also went on my trip that we both know, which is super cool because we talked about kind of going to their BCM at KSU and invading and such. But also another cool thing is our leader's godson ended up joining our team and basically being an honorary member of the team for the 2 weeks. And that has a lot to do with his kind of testimony, which was super cool. And we got to meet a lot of the Augusta BCM people, which what I was saying at the time, it felt like another dimension. I don't know how to explain this, but it felt like I would meet people and think, oh, this is like this person at our BCM, and it was really cool. So
I was going to jump back in and just say it was also really fascinating to see and like learn about how all the BCMs in Georgia work, hearing the different activities, the different like fundraising opportunities they did, and just like so many different ideas, and like that was really cool too.
So I know that you guys stayed in Georgia, both of you, just in different parts. But what about those different cities, Chula and Augusta, sort of surprised you from different experiences that you've had here in Atlanta at Georgia Tech, or from your various home lives as well? What sort of surprised you?
Chula, Georgia is kind of a small town. So I'm from the suburbs, so there are a lot less, I guess, density of people. But I guess it wasn't necessarily too surprising. Our team happened to stay at the campus minister at Miss Penny's house. So that was very kind of her. She hosted us. And yeah, so it was very beautiful. Like I loved like when we would drive like to and from like the church and like to the ABAC BCM. There were a lot of pretty sunsets. But yeah.
So what do you guys miss most about the times that you had there over the summer? What's something that really sticks out to you, making you think like, man, I wish I could go back to that?
Easily the people. My team really bonded, and it was a really fantastic time. Both like the people on my immediate Send Me Now team, but also the people at the church we worked at First Baptist Chula, as well as there was another team that also came to help with the camp from Louisiana. And so just all the different fantastic people I met, they already told me when the camp is next year, and I might go and help out.
Something that I really, really missed that I actually didn't realize how important was until kind of the later part of the trip was just spending time with the team, like not doing work, resting, I guess. And so we went to a lot of coffee shops and just kind of talked and hung out, and I guess I didn't realize how much we needed that rest. We also went on a cool little river boat ride thing, and just getting to have those times where we were all hanging out, you know, in the place that we were staying, or all going to a coffee shop and just kind of having informal conversation and laughing. And obviously we were super tired and we were really getting to know each other at that point. I really missed that. So, and just how quickly you can develop these friendships and how strong you can develop friendships with people on mission trips. That's just something that's you really almost don't find anywhere else. So I want to talk a little bit more about the people on the trip who you were directly serving. What's like a really big God moment, I guess, for you that you saw how he was faithful, how he poured into that person, and how he's indirectly, you know, pouring into you guys through this trip?
Yeah, I helped serve. One of the main things I did was I helped lead the dance activity. There's this whole dance thing that like each like group of kids would rotate through. So I helped lead that in the mornings. And I got very tired doing that, but it was really fun. And then I also helped with one of the other activities late in the afternoon with a small group of kids. Overall, the kids were really, really sweet, even though they did get a little rambunctious, just because as kids be. I didn't necessarily see it myself, but I know there was like one or two kids who were like particularly troublesome, like, you know, doing things they shouldn't be doing, or like, you know, taking things they shouldn't, and they were causing kind of like a lot of ruckus. And so I know there was one morning, our campus minister was like, how about we get to the church, you know, like a whole like hour before we need to be, so we can just like spend time and pray like for the day, like before we go about our activities, before we go about, you know, setting up our supplies for, you know, our different crafts or whatever we're doing that day, you know. So we got there like extra early. I think it was like 6 a.m. Or 6:30. It was very early in the morning. And we just spent that extra time to pray. And like we could really notice the difference throughout the day. And I know that a lot of people, one of the people in particular, were able to talk to that kid, and I think it kind of worked out. And the very least we got to the heart of the issue. So yeah, like just kind of seeing the direct effect and the direct effect of prayer, like intentional prayer. And
Yeah, so something for us that I think I saw the impact of was the second week we were helping with one of the churches in Augusta, and it was definitely a church filled with a lot of people who were older, had been like a church for a while, and the pastor, we got to hear his testimony and talk with him a little bit, which was really cool. But one of the things that we kind of saw coming in is just that they had declining membership for a while, and a lot of people were super discouraged. And so we would come in during the day and paint, and then they would feed us lunch, which was so nice. So there's a couple older women who had volunteered to cook it all up for us and serve us. And at the end of the week, they just kind of thanked us for all we were doing, and they started getting super emotional and just talking about what it's meant for us to be there. And I think the leader of our trip kind of was talking and saying that having us there was kind of like a breath of fresh air for them, and the excitement that we bring and our youth, I guess, was super helpful for them as a church. And that was just kind of cool to see how like we were able to encourage them, even though we were just coming and leaving, but we got to serve them and even just watch the kids that we were serving at VBS like come to know Jesus more. There was actually a fight in my group. Two of the boys, you would think I would have a group of, I guess, girls that were fighting with each other, but it was two boys, and one of them said something mean to the other, and we had to kind of extinguish that. And I think through that they got to see a little bit more of what Christ-like love is as well, and that it's that we cared about the kids. So yeah.
So was it a challenge for you guys to leave the trips where you were staying and go back home to your regular lives, regular college routines and summer routines, or was it sort of a new opportunity for God to grow both you and the person, or I should say the people who you were directly serving?
for me, it was definitely kind of bittersweet. Like I was excited to take what I'd learned, like back to my own BCM and just like to apply it to my life as like I went back about the rest of my summer and going into the fall semester. But I was definitely sad to leave the kids because I'd grown close to them, and like as well as like my team. And I definitely had one of those, oh man, I wish this week wouldn't end moment. But yeah, I was excited for like to take what I'd learned.
I ended up staying for like a whole day more than we were supposed to have stayed because we really wanted to go to our campus ministers and one of the guys on the trip's church that they both go to normally. So we ended up, me and a couple girls ended up staying with one of the girls who went to the Augusta BCMs. We stayed at her house, which was a nice change of pace because we'd been sleeping on air mattresses on the floor. So we went to church, and then we all went home after that, and it was a good breaking of, we've been here long enough, we need to go back home and get back to our lives. But it was also really, really nice having, because I had been working all summer, so it was nice to have that break to pause, take a step back, and just kind of focus on what God is doing and how God is serving through me and how he wants me to serve others. That was really cool to get to come back and have that kind of refresher and reminder that when it can be so easy to just be focused on my full-time work, it just where Christ wants me to be serving, I guess. That was really exciting to get to come back and I guess think about. So yeah.
Thanks for listening to Heroes Initiative.